The day humanity stopped laughing. The silent protocol. Commander Elena Vasquez walked through the observation deck of the International Space Station and stared at Earth below. The blue planet turned slowly beneath her feet. She had been living in space for 8 months now. In all that time, she had never seen Earth look so strange. It was not the planet that had changed. It was the silence. For the first time in 3 centuries, humanity had activated the silent protocol. Every communication channel from Earth had gone dark. No music streamed across the void. No news broadcasts filled the airwaves. No children sent messages to astronauts asking about life in space. The constant chatter of 8 billion people had simply stopped. Elena touched the window with one hand and felt the cold glass against her palm. She knew why the silence had come. Everyone in the galaxy knew. The transport ship called Morning Star had been destroyed. 2,000 colonists dead. Most of them were families heading to establish a new settlement on Kepler 442b. They had carried seeds and tools and dreams of building something beautiful on a distant world. The Krivak Syndicate had other plans. The alien pirates had attacked without warning. They took what they wanted and killed the rest. They left the wreckage floating in space like a monument to their cruelty. When human rescue teams found the Morning Star, they also found something that broke the heart of every person on Earth. A data pod. Inside were the last messages from the passengers. Parents recording goodbye videos for relatives back home. Children singing songs they had learned in school. A young couple getting married in the cargo bay because they did not want to wait until they reached their new world. All of them gone now. All of them murdered for cargo and spare parts. The weight of silence. Elena turned away from the window and walked to the communication station. Her crewmate, Dr. James Chen, sat at the console with his hands folded in his lap. He stared at the dark screens with hollow eyes. James had a daughter on the Morning Star. Her name was Lily. She was 7 years old. She loved drawing pictures of stars and dreamed of becoming an astronaut like her father. Now she was dust scattered across the void. Elena put her hand on James's shoulder. He did not move. He had not spoken in 3 days. Not since they received the news. Not since Earth went silent. The silent protocol was older than space travel itself. It came from the darkest days of human history. From wars that nearly destroyed civilization. From moments when words failed and only action remained. When humanity activated the silent protocol, it meant one thing. Words were over. Decisions had been made. The time for talking had passed. Elena checked the station's systems and made sure everything was running smoothly. The silence from Earth did not mean the space stations were abandoned. Supplies still arrived. Ships still docked. But the ships came without announcements or greetings. Pilots completed their tasks and left without saying goodbye. It was like watching ghosts go about their routines. The Galactic communication network was going crazy. Alien species from across the stars sent thousands of messages to Earth. Some offered sympathy. Others demanded explanations. A few threatened consequences if humanity took rash action. None of the messages received answers. Earth had stopped listening. The alien species did not understand yet. They thought humans were mourning. They thought the silence meant grief and sadness. They were wrong. The memory of violence. Elena remembered her history lessons from school. She remembered learning about the Kroth invasion 200 years ago. The Kroth Empire had been powerful and ancient. They had conquered dozens of worlds. When they discovered humans, they saw primitive creatures barely capable of space travel. Easy targets. The Kroth attacked human colonies without warning. They bombed cities from orbit. They enslaved millions. They thought humans would surrender quickly like other species had done. They were mistaken. Humanity did not surrender. Humanity did not beg for mercy. humanity got angry. The war lasted 3 years. In that time, humans went from having a small defense fleet to building the largest military force in the sector. They studied Kroth technology and improved it. They learned Kroth tactics and countered them. They fought with a determination that shocked the galaxy. When human forces finally reached the Kroth home world, they did not destroy it. They did not commit genocide. Instead, they did something worse. They broadcast everything the Kroth had done. Every massacre. Every atrocity. Every crime against innocent people. They made sure every species in the galaxy knew what the Kroth Empire truly was. The Kroth Empire fell apart within a generation. Not from human weapons. From shame and isolation. No one would trade with them. No one would speak to them. They became ghosts haunting the edges of civilized space. Humanity had proven something important that day. They had shown the galaxy that humans did not just fight with weapons. They fought with memory. They never forgot. They never forgave. And they made sure no one else forgot either. The gathering storm. Elena walked to the mess hall and found the rest of her crew sitting in silence. Captain Robert Martinez stared at his coffee without drinking it. Engineer Sarah Okonkwo cleaned her tools even though they were already spotless. Biologist Dr. Yuki Tanaka read the same page of her book over and over without turning it. No one spoke. There was nothing to say. The communication console beeped suddenly. Everyone looked up. It was a transmission from Mars Colony. Elena went to check it. The message was simple. A single video file. She played it on the main screen. The video showed Admiral Marcus Webb standing in the command center of the Earth Defense Fleet. Behind him, thousands of ships filled the dark of space. Warships. Carriers. Destroyers. Support vessels. Every human military ship in existence had gathered at Earth. The Admiral looked tired. His face was lined with age and grief. But his eyes burned with cold determination. He spoke in a voice that did not shake or waver. To all human vessels. To all colonies. To all citizens of Earth. The silent protocol remains in effect. Civilian communications will resume when our task is complete. Military operations begin in 72 hours. Return to your posts. Prepare your ships. Remember the morning star. Remember why we fight. Remember that we are human. And humans protect their own. The video ended. The screen went dark. Elena looked at her crew. They looked back at her with the same expression. They understood. The silence was not mourning. The silence was preparation. Somewhere in the depths of space, the Krivak Syndicate continued their raids. They attacked ships and stole cargo. They enslaved innocent people and laughed about it. They thought they were safe. They thought humans were weak. They thought wrong. Elena returned to the observation deck and looked at Earth one more time. The blue planet turned peacefully in the void. Beautiful and quiet. But beneath that peaceful surface, 8 billion people were getting ready. They were building ships. Loading weapons. Planning operations. Saying goodbye to loved ones. Preparing for what came next. The galaxy had grown used to human noise. They had learned to filter out the constant stream of music and messages and laughter. They had forgotten what the silence meant. They had forgotten what humans were capable of when the talking stopped. The price of peace. Elena thought about the morning star again. She thought about the families who had died. She thought about James's daughter Lily who loved drawing stars. She thought about all the dreams that had died in the cold of space. Humanity had tried to be peaceful. For 300 years since joining the galactic community, humans had chosen words over weapons. They had traded and explored and built friendships with dozens of alien species. They had contributed art and science and culture to the greater civilization. They had shown the galaxy that humans were more than warriors. They were creators and dreamers and friends. But humans had also kept their weapons clean and ready. They had remembered the lessons of the Croth War. They had never forgotten that peace only lasted as long as people were willing to defend it. The Krivak Syndicate had broken that peace. They had killed innocents. They had laughed while doing it. Now they would learn what happened when humanity stopped laughing back. Elena pressed her hand against the window one last time. The glass was cold and hard beneath her fingers. Like steel. Like resolve. Like the hearts of 8 billion people who had decided that some crimes could not be answered with words. The silent protocol would end eventually. Humans would laugh again. They would sing and tell stories and fill the galaxy with noise. But not yet. Not until justice was served. Not until the morning star was avenged. Elena turned away from Earth and walked back to her station. There was work to do. Ships to maintain. Systems to check. Preparations to make. And through it all, the silence continued. Deep and heavy and full of promise. The galaxy was about to remember why humanity's greatest weapon was not their technology or their numbers. It was their choice. The choice to be loud or quiet. The choice to talk or fight. The choice to forgive or remember. For 300 years, humanity had chosen to be the noisy neighbors. The friendly species. The ones who talked too much and cared too deeply. Now they had made a different choice. And the stars themselves would shake before it was over. When the silent fleet moved. The alien perspective. Trade Master Zelthix of the Morvian Collective floated in his quarters aboard Station Harmony and tried to understand what was happening. His species had been trading with humans for 2 centuries. He considered himself an expert on human behavior. He understood their love of negotiation. Their endless appetite for exotic goods. Their strange habit of giving gifts to seal business deals. But this silence was something new. Something wrong. Zelthix activated his communication panel and tried once more to contact his human business partners on Earth. Nothing. He tried the human merchants on Luna Colony. No response. He even attempted to reach the human restaurant owner on Station Harmony itself. The restaurant was closed. The owner had left 3 days ago without explanation. Every human in the station had left. They had packed their belongings and departed on the next available transport. No goodbyes. No explanations. Just gone. Zelthix felt his gills flutter with anxiety. In all his years of trading, he had never seen humans abandon profit. They loved commerce almost as much as they loved talking. For them to leave without finishing their contracts meant something terrible was coming. He thought about the destroyed colony ship. He had seen the images like everyone else. The broken hull floating in space. The bodies. The final messages from people who knew they were going to die. It was tragic, certainly. But death was part of space travel. Pirates existed. Accidents happened. Civilized species mourned their dead and moved forward. They did not go silent. They did not abandon their businesses and homes. They did not make the entire galaxy nervous with their absence. The fleet that appeared. Zelthix decided to check the long-range sensors. Perhaps that would give him some answers. What he saw made his 3 hearts beat faster. Ships. Thousands of ships. All heading in the same direction. Away from human space. Toward the outer rim. Toward Krivak's territory. The sensors showed military vessels, but not just warships. There were cargo ships modified with weapon mounts. Mining vessels equipped with military-grade shields. Even old colony transports that had been retrofitted for combat. It was like humanity had taken every ship capable of flying and turned it into a weapon. Zelthix pulled up the tactical displays and tried to count the vessels. He stopped at 10,000. The numbers kept climbing. How many ships did humans have? Where did they all come from? His communication panel beeped. A priority message from the Morvian High Council. He opened it with trembling appendages. The message was brief and urgent. All Morvian citizens were ordered to evacuate from sectors 12 through 18 immediately. Those sectors bordered Krivak space. The council provided no explanation. They did not need to. Everyone understood. Get away from where the humans were going. Get away before the violence started. Zelthix began packing his belongings with shaking hands. He had lived through 2 wars in his long life. He had seen battles between species with advanced weapons and ancient hatreds. But he had never seen anything like this. This was not a war. This was an extermination. The warning that came too late. On the bridge of the Krivak's raiding ship Bloodtaker, Captain Vexenar sorted through their latest haul. The Morning Star had provided excellent salvage. Medical equipment. Computer systems. Genetic samples worth a fortune on the black market. And the humans themselves. 200 survivors taken as slaves. They would sell well. Humans were popular in the slave markets. They were adaptable and intelligent enough to handle complex tasks. Plus they broke easily, which made them obedient. Vexenar had been raiding ships for 40 years. He knew quality merchandise when he saw it. His second officer Kratar entered the bridge carrying a data pad. "Captain, we are receiving strange reports from our scouts." Vexenar did not look up from his inventory. "What kind of reports?" "Human ship movements. Large numbers of vessels heading toward our territory." Now Vexenar looked up. "How many vessels?" Kratar checked his pad. "Thousands. Maybe more. Our scouts lost count." Vexenar laughed. It was a harsh sound like metal scraping metal. "Let them come. Humans are traders, not warriors. They will arrive and demand negotiations. We will listen to their complaints and pay a small fine. Then everything returns to normal." "Captain, these are not trading vessels. Our scouts identify them as military ships." "Even better," Vexenar said. "Military ships follow rules. They will posture and threaten. We will retreat to our bases. Eventually they will get bored and go home. That is how civilized warfare works." Kratar looked uncertain but said nothing more. Vexenar returned to his inventory. He had been raiding in this sector for decades. He had fought against the Thalan Empire and the Yorvish clans. He had escaped from Galactic Communion patrols dozens of times. Humans did not scare him. They were soft creatures who loved their comforts too much to wage real war. The message that changed everything. 6 hours later, Vexenar's confidence began to crack. The human fleet had not slowed down. They had not sent demands or threats. They had simply kept coming. Closer and closer to Krivak space. His scouts reported that the human ships traveled in complete silence. No transmissions between vessels. No communication with anyone. Just cold determination as they crossed light years of empty space. Then came the message. It appeared simultaneously on every Krivak's ship in the sector. Every communication device. Every screen. The message was simple. A list of names. 2,000 names. The passengers and crew of the Morning Star. After each name was a picture. Humans of every age and description. Smiling at cameras. Holding children. Celebrating birthdays. Living their lives. At the bottom of the list was a single sentence in a dozen languages including Krivak's. "We are coming for you." The message ended with a countdown timer. 72 hours. Then 60 seconds later, the timer updated. 71 hours, 59 minutes, 59 seconds. Vexenar stared at the screen and felt fear crawl into his chest for the first time in years. This was not the behavior of civilized warriors. This was something else. "Captain," Kratar said quietly. "What should we do?" Vexenar thought about the human slaves in his cargo hold. He thought about the salvage from the Morning Star. He thought about 40 years of successful raiding. Then he thought about the thousands of human ships crossing the void in complete silence. He made his decision. Dump the cargo. All of it. Release the human slaves in escape pods with beacons. Get rid of any evidence we touched the Morning Star. "Captain, that represents millions in lost profit." "I would rather lose millions than lose my life," Vexenar said. "Send word to all Krivak's vessels. Retreat to the home worlds. Prepare defenses. Hope that we can negotiate when the humans arrive." But even as he gave the orders, Vexenar knew it was too late. The countdown timer on his screen kept ticking down. And with each second that passed, the human fleet came closer. The awakening. Back on Station Harmony, Trade Master Zelthix watched the news feeds from across the galaxy. Every species was talking about the human fleet. The Thalan Empire offered to mediate. The Yorvish clans declared neutrality. The ancient Vorith, who had remained silent for 1,000 years, sent a simple message to all species. Do not interfere. Smaller species were evacuating the sectors between human and Krivak space. Merchant vessels refused to enter the area. Even pirates and raiders who normally feared nothing were running away. The galaxy was rearranging itself around the path of the human fleet. Making room for what was coming. Making sure not to get caught in the middle. Zelthix finished packing and headed for the transport docks. As he walked through the empty corridors of the station, he passed the closed human restaurant. Through the window, he could see tables still set for customers who would never arrive. Drinks left unfinished. Food growing cold. On the wall hung a picture of Earth. The blue planet looked peaceful and beautiful. Zelthix stopped and stared at the image. He thought about the humans he had known. The friendly merchants who laughed easily. The curious explorers who asked endless questions. The artists who filled the station with music and color. Where had those humans gone? What had happened to the species that talked too much and smiled too often? Then Zelthix understood. Those humans had not gone anywhere. They were still there. Still on Earth. Still in their ships. Still alive and breathing. But they had made a choice. They had chosen to stop being the friendly neighbors. They had chosen to stop talking and start acting. They had chosen to show the galaxy what humans were like when someone killed their children. The countdown timer in his head reached 0. Somewhere far away, the human fleet was arriving at Krivak space. Zelthix hurried toward the transport docks. He wanted to be far away when the screaming started. Behind him, the picture of Earth hung on the wall. Beautiful and blue and utterly terrifying in its silence. The humans were not mourning anymore. The humans were hunting. And the galaxy would never forget the lesson they were about to teach.